Up, you got the original Lone Wolf coming at y'all with a quick little video. I'm gonna let some of this play. I don't want y'all to think I ran away or whatever. For one, I want to give my 2 cents. I want to try to let enough of this play before I get my 2 cents in. And two, I'm cooking me a little breakfast. So I figured it'd be a good time to do it now. You know what I'm saying? Due to the fact that my breakfast still ain't ready yet. But I want y'all to listen to this filthy shit. This is, my God, this is, whoo! First off, shout out to my subscribers. I saw that somebody else subscribed the other day. Whoever that new person is that just subscribed like a day or so ago, shout out to you. Much respect, much love. Shout out to all of my other subscribers that's been down with me. You know I love y'all. You know I respect y'all. For the ones that got their own channel and shit, I try to support y'all. Even if I don't leave a lot of comments or whatever, I will, you know what I'm saying, smash that like button, you know what I'm saying? And I've shared many of you guys' videos too. So shout out to y'all. But man, let me just jump right into this. This shit here is filthy. Oh, and one last thing, fair use to you, Greg Bishop. In the past, I've used a couple of your videos, and I don't do it to attack you. It be to attack the report that you got. All right. That's what it be. All right. So shout out to Greg Bishop, everybody. This is his channel, Bishop on Air. I'm not here in any way to slander him, or to say anything bad about him or anything like that. But the information that he puts out, that he reports on, it be filthy as hell. And that's one of the reasons why I listen to him, because he will put it out there. All right. So that's another reason why I'm saying fair use. This is not in any way to attack Greg Bishop or to slander him in any way. But without further ado, let's get to some more filthy shit that Greg is reported on. Because this is just, get your pamper out, y'all, for real.
Just some of the sentiment you're hearing in Chicago around the issue of it being a sanctuary city and more migrants showing up and more taxpayer resources.
And first off, I'm going to say this to everybody, including you, Greg Bishop. That whole thing they chanting about you work for us, that's bullshit. No, they don't. They don't work for them. To go to show you how retarded the people in the audience is, they don't realize that the minute they replaced and start calling themselves leaders, right? The minute they started calling themselves leaders, which was like probably 2 decades ago, that's when they no longer work for the people, okay? That's when they replaced public servant. You understand? But anyway, continue.
Being used. So what's changed here? Well, some recent polling indicating quite a bit has changed, and that could be one of the reasons why we're seeing some pressure, including the White House changing direction in building a border wall, despite previous statements seeming that it goes against what their policies were of having welcoming communities across the entire country. Well, to talk more about the polling on this, we're now going to talk with a pollster who put together some information. Matthew Pogorski joins us, and we're going to hear about, how these sentiments may have changed. Matthew, thanks for taking time with us this morning. How you doing?
Good, Greg. Good morning. How are you?
Good. So we've been tracking this all morning long, from DHS announcing the border wall to the president saying the border wall doesn't work, to the governor saying the president's just signaling to Republicans, hey, we're willing to build a wall if you want to come to the table and talk about comprehensive immigration reform, to even Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson now announcing he's going to the southern border, and Joliet grappling with whether or not they're going to accept grant dollars. So all of this obviously centering around migration and sanctuary city policies. Tell us about the polling that you did.
Yeah, the terminologies have definitely changed over the years, Greg. That's a starting point. When I was studying in college in Chicago, sanctuary city meant something very different than it does today. Sanctuary city meant immigration status wouldn't be questioned by local police so that they can get, better cooperation with crime investigations. It's really changed now quite a bit. But to the poll, at the end of the day, you're talking about a city that Donald Trump gets, between 12 and 15%. So this is not a red city. It's not a conservative city. It's not even a moderate city. It's for the most part a totally Democrat-controlled far-left city by any standards. And a majority of those likely voters have said that they want to end sanctuary city and stop housing the migrants, whatever that means to them. And it surprised even me. Sometimes I go into polls having a pretty good idea of which way the wind's going to blow. This time it was a really big surprise to me.
So M3 Strategies, the polling.
So in a nutshell, these chumps did a fake poll, right? Because I don't know where the poll came from. I didn't witness them do this poll. Nobody asked me any questions. All right. So far as I'm concerned, it's fake. Like the vast majority of these polls that they have, not just the one that Greg Bishop talking about, but just anyone in general. Even the polls they give you about the races for like the elections and stuff, that shit fake too, right? And no pun intended to you, Greg. I'm just saying how I feel. I feel like the poll is fake. But this is a poll that they allegedly done, not Greg Bishop, but whoever, right? Because keep in mind, Greg Bishop just reporting on it. He ain't the one who conducted the poll, right? But whoever was supposed to conducted this poll, whenever they conducted it, it's supposed to be a poll based off who is in favor of all these people coming here versus the ones who ain't. So that's what the poll is.
Done. You say only 39% of respondents believe that Chicago should remain a sanctuary city. Do we have any comparison to that number compared to what it may have been pre-COVID, and then also maybe even recent headlines and the 15,000 or so that Chicago's received in the past 13 months?
It's a good question. I haven't pulled that particular question in many years. Off the top of my head, it was a large majority were in favor of sanctuary city and housing of we didn't call them migrants then, but housing of immigrants and people in need. But I did see a survey was done in February. I don't know if it was necessarily apples to apples, but it was a different survey was done in February that showed support for sanctuary city and asylum seekers and more resources for them. And the tune has changed. Now, keep in mind, this is a snapshot in time. This doesn't necessarily mean that Chicago permanently has changed its thought process on being a welcoming city and sheltering illegal immigrants or legal migrants. But as of right now, there's definitely a double-digit lead in favor of ending sanctuary city as they know it today.
Yeah, talk about the demographics here and how this breaks down. Is it across the board that most people don't want to see Chicago be a sanctuary city anymore, or is there an interesting split as far as the racial demographics here?
Yeah, as I've been seeing a lot lately in Chicago, there are essentially two cities here, not broken out the demographic way you would expect those. So if you break it out by race, whites across Chicago are very much in favor of keeping sanctuary city by about double-digit margins. Non-whites, Hispanics, blacks, and others are overwhelmingly in favor of ending sanctuary city. The most stark one was
the real American Indian don't want them here. All right? Now, let's check out some of these comments. Oh, look at that. That's me, the original Lone Wolf. So the caller is saying he's mixed with my people, huh? We'll get to that later. That's one of the calls that Greg Bishop took. Then another one says, we were never slaves. That's getting to the part about Brandon Johnson, punk ass, talking about we was descendants of slaves or whatever. We'll get to that part too. Then I left something else. I say Greg Bishop, in any Black's Law dictionary, the definition of a minority is a child, someone who has not reached the age to contract, handle their own affairs. Because they was referring to us as minorities. We'll get to that further down the road. I also told Greg Bishop that Brandon Johnson is not our own. And he's not. Hear my words, Greg Bishop. Brandon Johnson is not my people. For number one, I don't consider myself to be black or an African American. So that alone lets you know that me and him ain't the same people. I am the American Indian. I am the original man of this land. He's never professed that, Greg Bishop, just so you know. So that alone tells you we're not the same people. Now, for all of my subscribers, as well as Greg Bishop, what they are doing, because there's an overwhelmingly amount of American Indians in Chicago, whether if they know they're American Indians or whether if they refer to themselves as black and African American. Because keep in mind, there was a point when you couldn't check African American off on anything. All right? And that goes with Lyndon B. Johnson signing the Indian Civil Rights Act of 1968, 7 days after Martin Luther King was killed. All right? This goes with that. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. What you guys are looking at when it comes down to the mayor of this city is that he is a traitor. He is literally willing to do the bidding to screw his own people. Because that's literally what he's doing. So yeah, of course, I've been telling people this for the longest. Before they fired me from the job I had, the couple of brothers that worked there, I was telling them that in order to put an end to the mass migration, it's got to be the American Indians that do it. It has to be us. Nobody else is going to get involved. Why not, Lone Wolf? Because that's how their ancestors came here. Continue.
Black Chicagoans plus 20% ending sanctuary city. So the racial makeup there is really stark. The other one is age. So the younger two age groups, the age groups under 45, overwhelmingly in favor of keeping Sanctuary City and continuing to house these migrants without really limit. And over.
What age group he talking about? He talking about our people age group? Because as far as I know of, none of our people is on board with this, unless you run into an idiot or two. None of our people is on board with this, regardless of age. Regardless of age, they all understand. Here it is, my son, 19 years old, the one that they took from me, the one that I tried to sue him in court and all that. Here it is, he's 19 years old and he understands what's happening. He realized that they're here and they're going to take everything that we should be getting or take whatever shit we got left. He gets it and he's 19. So what are you talking about when you talk about this whole age group shit? What are you talking about?
45 were overwhelmingly against it.
We're talking with Matthew Podgorski. He's with M3 Strategies. Recent polling done showing that only 39% of respondents believe Chicago should remain a sanctuary city. What do you think is behind the populations and how they break out here along the racial lines from, I would imagine white liberals saying, hey, we love sanctuary city policies, where you've got black Chicagoans and Hispanic Chicagoans saying, we don't like.
And what the fuck is a Hispanic? What is that?
Sanctuary policies and want it reversed.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd say, this is obviously speculation, right? Because we didn't quite dive into that question, quantitatively. But what I would say is I think there's two things going on. One is the effect of migrants and illegal immigration is more felt in minority communities. And two, I think there's a psychological piece. I think it's harder.
As I told Greg Bishop, in any law dictionary, any black laws dictionary, the definition of a minority is a child, someone who has not reached the age to contract. You can't do business. Like for example, I'll give you an example. My son got his own apartment, right? He signed his lease. Me and his mama had nothing to do with that. He's 19. The age of majority the age of majority usually in most states, or at least in Illinois, is 18. Now you're eligible to go to prison. You're eligible to go to Cook County Jail and all this other shit in prison when you're 17, but you can't contract in Illinois until you're 18 years old. All right? That's the definition of a fucking minority, Greg Bishop, just so you know. And I back it up with any Black's Laws dictionary you can get your hands on, which should be damn near every edition, Greg Bishop, because you can download a Black Laws dictionary, a PDF on Google. So any Black Laws dictionary you go into, a minority is a child. Just like black is civilta mortuus. The term black, that's when you lose all of your civil rights. Do it seem as if we got civil rights in this country? Do it seem like we got humanitarian rights in this country?
White people psychologically in the day and age of, the word racism being thrown around like nothing, where I think white people are afraid of being thought of as insensitive or racist or prejudiced. And so I think they're more inclined to say, no, we have to do whatever we have to do to help the migrants.
No, it has every bit to do with survival. Like how I just said, if you want to consider these people to be white, because they're not white, right? But if you want to consider them to be white, it's very simple. White people are in favor of immigration because who in the fuck are they to not be in favor of it when their ancestors came here like that? So who the fuck are you to go against the grain? That's what it's really about.
From other countries, I think minorities don't have that burden, that guilt to worry about.
Matthew, if people want to see more information about this, where can they find it? Of course, they can just listen to this and get the specifics, but talk about M3 Strategies.
Yeah, m3strategies.com. We post all of our public polls right on our website. We do public polling often and are on TV quite a bit, as you might know, Greg. And then we do polling, obviously we make our money from doing polling for political candidates and networks. And also, obviously, we do campaign work for different candidates. So m3strategies.com is where you can find the full survey, Greg.
And for those just tuning in, driving to work, again, tell us the top line of the poll, what you found, and then a little bit more of that breakdown on the racial demographics.
So to kind of recap it, the city of Chicago's likely voters right now are all for ending sanctuary city. Black and Hispanic and non-white voters are overwhelmingly for ending sanctuary city. White voters as an aggregate are for keeping it, but it nets out to ending it. And, no surprise, younger folks want to keep it, and older folks are done with Sanctuary City as a snapshot in time.
That's pretty remarkable. Greatly appreciate you taking the time with us. Matthew Podgorski with M3 Strategies. Let's definitely talk again in the near future, all right?
Keep up the good work, Greg. Thanks.
Appreciate it. It's Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WM.
I would like to see the people who fucking created this poll and put it together, because it's all horseshit. And again, like how I said, this is not me trying to slander Greg Bishop. He's not the person that was responsible for the poll. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying anything about him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just critiquing the crap that's coming off of this report that he did. That's all I'm doing. Because it's all bullshit.
Why Springfield's News and Talk. Coming back, we'll hear some of what Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson had to say about the sentiments that he's seeing out there on the streets. So stay tuned. So we just heard some of the sentiments on the streets as to whether or not Chicago should remain a sanctuary city and sanctuary policies in general. Interesting breakdown there from M3 Strategies. But Mayor Brandon Johnson seems to be reacting to some of the sentiments that's being seen at various community events. People upset that, the focus isn't on them as tax-paying citizens. There seems to be an increasing number of funds, hundreds of millions of dollars going to non-citizen new arrivals to Chicago. So here's the mayor seeming to...
That punk first 30 to 45 days in office, he gave them $50 million. All right? I'm going to say this before he start playing this punk. Right? And I want you to listen up, Greg Bishop. Listen to what I'm saying to you. The man is a traitor. The man is a sellout. Any pale-skinned person like you who will be willing to stand up and say that about Brandon Johnson will be telling the truth. And it wouldn't be racist. The man is a sellout. He on here barking. He on the west side of Chicago and all this. I know niggas that stand 10 toes down in Auburn Gresham. Where he talking about, not Auburn Gresham, in the Austin neighborhood. Where that punk talking about he from. And he just that. He a punk. There's plenty of real brothers in the Austin area on the west side of Chicago where he claiming he from. And then not to mention, why do Austin look the way it do? See, this kind of shit, man, it make me want to get in the car, man. It made me want to jump in the whip and do like how I used to do on my original channel when I used to take y'all to different places and show y'all shit in Chicago about how these niggas get out. Oh, man. Anyway, let's listen to this clown. Let's hear what he got to say.
React to some of that sentiment that he sees on the streets.
This ain't the first time you've heard me say how serious this dynamic is. And so I'm doing my part to continue to make sure that Chicagoans who have been in this city, who have needed support, and particularly our black families. I know there's been a tremendous burden, particularly on black Chicago. I am fully aware of that. Y'all know where I live. Y'all know how many schools have been shut down in Austin, mental health clinics.
Now listen to this. His first 45 days, I say within 60 days of being in office, he gave these motherfuckers $50 million. Or whatever the number was. It was millions. It was like 50 million. It was like $50 million, man. He gave these motherfuckers. That don't sound like to me that you in favor of your people. Here's another one of these brothers I'm willing to bet money. I'm willing to bet money on this. And Darkman X is the first person that put me on to this. I'm willing to bet money. And since that time, since Darkman X put me on to it, since that time, I peeped somebody named Jermaine Shoemaker. Umar Johnson, excuse me, who has done exactly what Darkman X put me on to. Darkman X told me years ago in a video, he say, these brothers that look like us, or sisters that look like us, they'll call you black this and African American that, but they paperwork and they documentation regarding them says something totally different. And I bet you any amount of money, the same thing holds true for Brandon Johnson. Like, this is cooning at its finest, Greg Bishop. This, when you hear that old Southern racist term, coon, this motherfucker right here is a coon. It's just that simple. You can't sit up here and tell me you from the Austin area. And I swear to God, it made me want to jump in the whip right now and go to the west side right now. You ain't going to tell me you from the Austin area. You know about all of the clinics and schools they done closed and all this other stuff because you come from this neighborhood. And you mean to tell me your first 45 to 60 days in office, you gave these people $50 million? Do you know what $50 million could have done to the Austin community? Do you have any clue? Any clue? But he wasn't put in there for that, Greg Bishop. That's not why they put him there. They put him there to continue to do what they've always done when it come down to our people. They're just using somebody who look like us. It's amazing how they are able to go out and find people that are willing to screw their own people. So I ask you, Brandon Johnson, what did they offer you? What do they have on you? Do they got like some secret pictures or something on you? Like, what is it, man? What is it that will cause you to screw your own people? Just tell me.
Administration after administration has taken away from black people, not mine. And I want to make this point very clear as well.
Did you hear that? He ain't did nothing for the community since he been in office. But what we can say is he gave the migrants $50 million. He letting them bust them in. They talking about it's like 16 to 18,000 people here. They talking about sending them to Joliet and everything. Oh my God.
We're trying to make sure that migrants are not on floors. So when individuals say that black folks want what migrants want, it's not true. It's not. Black folks want what they deserve. And to compare the needs of black people to individuals who are being forced out of their countries because of bad foreign policy, who are living on floors, comparing the conditions in which descendants of slaves have had to endure to migrants who are sleeping on floors.
See that? The descendant of a slave. Greg Bishop, my ancestors weren't slaves. Right? It's just that simple. The whole slave narrative is a joke. It's a scam. Just like the whole Jewish Holocaust shit is a scam. You explain to me, Greg Bishop, how the Jewish Holocaust is real when Adolf Hitler was on the cover of Time magazine as being Time magazine's Man in the Year, like 1 or 2 years before they went to war with these motherfuckers during World War II. Explain that shit. Right along with other things that have been uncovered about the damn Jewish Holocaust. That shit is a joke and a scam, just like the slave trade is a joke and a scam.
I question how much you actually care and love about black people and understand their conditions. And so, I got you. Because we speak out loud. So going to the border is to make sure that everybody knows that my administration is committed to making sure that we are putting together the full force of government at every single level to ensure that these families, who, by the way, they're not illegal. They're asylum seekers.
So we've heard now the mayor. I want to hear from you. We've got a few minutes here at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number, 217-629-7970. You can also email.
The American Indian didn't give anybody consent to come to this country. They're all here illegal, including pale skinned people.
Me, bishoponair@gmail.com. Again, Call in live and local, 217-629-7970. Somebody emailing in says, I love the way the Democratic Party tries to rewrite history. Maybe it's just the Bolshevik background. I can't find the direct quote, but Lori not only reaffirmed Chicago as a sanctuary city, but welcomed undocumented workers there. Wait until train loads start arriving in New York and D.C. So let's get to the phones. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yes, I just want to know if the mayor of Chicago wants to be the mayor because he wants to be a soccer dad. He has family things, but when you take the obligation of mayor of Chicago, that's a pretty big job.
And let me comment on that too real quick, Greg Bishop, because you had put out another audio earlier where he said out his mouth he had to take his kids to soccer practice. Bro, don't know brothers and sisters on the west side of Chicago play soccer, homie. Like, you can just forget about it. That's not how that go. We don't play no... That go to show you right there how much of a sellout he is. If he'd have said basketball practice or something, he might have been able to get away with it. But the minute he said soccer, it was over with. You can spot a brother from the hood on a soccer field from up in the nosebleed section. That's how uncommon they are. So for me to believe that Brandon Johnson takes his children to soccer practice, forget about it. And even if he do, so what? I don't play soccer, so I have nothing to do with that at all. My children don't play soccer, so I don't have anything to do with that at all. Nor do I care what sports his children play.
It's not just the mayor of a small town. And for him to say what he said about why, I'll get to the border eventually. I got to go see my son's soccer game, shows how tone deaf he is. Or he was put in such a bad spot that he really has no interest in doing this. He's just giving lip service to the people who are polling, saying that they don't want this, and he's just put in a bad spot right now. But I just thought it was incredibly tone deaf for him to say that he's got to go to his kid's soccer game. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, I appreciate the call. And if you missed that earlier on when we were hearing some of the questions of when is the mayor going to go to the Chicago or go to the southern border, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, like, whoa, guys, I have kids and a family, and I live in Austin, and so on. So good morning. You're on WMAY. Let's hear your thoughts.
My question is, when you see all the pictures of the migrants coming in, their clothes are so stylish, and I'm not being critical about this, but they have stylish clothes on, they have new haircuts and whatnot. My question is this: what exactly is going on in Venezuela? Is it a situation like when the Jews were getting out when Hitler came to power and they're being murdered, or is it just a bad economics?
Bad economics. It's a socialist country. It's a socialist country that's not treating the people well. I mean, they don't have freedom. They don't have economic prosperity.
That's in many parts of the world. I mean, if it was a situation where people were being genocide, like with the Kurdish people,
sure,
I get that. If it was the Kurds and they were coming here and they're literally being killed, I get that. But bad economic conditions does not justify putting us into a worse economic condition in
right?
America.
No, I appreciate the call. We'll take one more here before the top of the hour. Good morning. You're on WMAY. You got 30 seconds.
Greg, hey, I'm so tired of politicians pushing this racist, this white and black. I get approached all the time, and people call me white. My mother is full-blooded Italian, and my dad was American Indian, and I get called white all the time. I'm so tired of it. Why can't we just be Americans?
Understood. Appreciate the call. 217-629-7.
So in other words, Greg Bishop, what he's saying is, by him being half American Indian, he's saying that half of his lineage look like the people that fought for the Civil Rights Act during the 60s. That's what he's saying, right? That's what he's saying. Look here, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. I think I've said enough. Again, shout out to all of my subscribers. Much love to y'all. I'm about to sit down. I actually timed this out perfectly. My breakfast is ready. I got me some nice old creamy grits over here with a little bit of butter and some paprika. And I know I'm bogus for these beef pan sausages. I know I'm bogus. I didn't get the pork ones. But I did wrap a strip of bacon around them. I know I'm being fat today. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But needless to say, I'm going to get up out of here. Much love to all my subscribers. Fair use once again. I'm not here to slander Greg Bishop. I'm just here to critique the information that he came across that he decided to put out. He is a reporter. And I have no problem with reporting what somebody say. If he plays a clip of Brandon Johnson, and this is something that Brandon Johnson actually said, well, then I have no problem with Greg Bishop. You know what I'm saying? So this wasn't to slander him in any way, but it's just to show you how filthy this shit has gotten. And I'm going to say one last thing too. This is an invasion. All right, that's what this is. This isn't a migration. This is an invasion. At some point in time, these people that they're allowing to come here is going to wage war on the people. And it's coming. They're here. This goes along with all of these secret co-op military bases that they supposed to been housing the UN soldiers in, and all these other stories that you done heard about this crazy shit that's going on for the last 20, 25 years. This reaffirms that. There's no way in hell that this is not an invasion when you are literally breaking the bank to your own corrupt financial system. And you're doing it on purpose, because that's the part two to it. That one side of the coin is that's just an invasion. When you turn the coin over, that side of the coin is to collapse the system financially. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what's going to happen. Know that and understand it. This is the original Lone Wolf, man. Remember one thing, ain't nobody coming to save y'all. Remember, I'm the one that told y'all during the riots, the George Floyd riots here, that it wasn't no damn National Guard on the ground in the city of Chicago. They lied, man. Lori Lightfoot lied. J.B. Pritzker lied. There wasn't no goddamn military on the ground here in Chicago. I was looking for them. This is the original Lone Wolf, man. Much love to y'all.
970s.